To master the bending disciplines, you must first master discipline itself. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Better Than Reality. I am your host, Hannah without an H, and in the studio with me, I have my guest.
It's me, Tyler.
Tyler again. Woo! Thank you again for being here for another episode.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And today we are specifically going to be talking about bending and the progression of bending
that we learn about over the course of the first show and Korra.
Yes, and Korra. There are going to be elements of Korra in here, so spoiler alert.
Spoiler
alert. For anybody who has not seen Korra, you probably shouldn't watch this because there's going to be some spoilers. But yeah, so we're going to transition now into the discussion. Alrighty, bending.
Where do you want to start off?
What is bending?
It's a type of fighting style / body movement that ends up channeling the element that you're trying to do through the style of whatever you're doing.
So the controlling of different elements. So some people are born with bending, some people are born without. They can't do it. But yeah, everybody bends a different element depending on.
Is it heritage or?
I think it's heritage.
Is this random?
I don't think it's random. I think it is heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So based on your family line, I guess, where you come from, who your parents are. Yeah. So we're going to talk about the progression of bending because it has changed quite a bit, like from the origins that we learn in Korra and in Atla, and in Atla to Korra, it kind of does change a lot and evolves, which
Definitely.
I think one of the cooler things about this world is that there is this bending, this generally it's used for fighting in the beginning of days, and then it kind of really evolves all the way to Korra. So we just wanted to kind of talk about that and discuss it because it's so cool. It's such a cool concept, at least to me.
Yep.
One of my favorite parts about this world. So kind of starting at the beginning, there was sort of two origins that we got. So the first one was obviously in Avatar The Last Airbender, how they kind of described that bending came from watching animals.
Yeah.
Except for water, it wasn't the animals, it was the moon. Yeah. And they would watch and kind of mimic it and kind of learn how to bend these elements. Like, so for fire, it was the dragons who could breathe fire. So then they watched the dragons and kind of learned how to control fire. For air, it was the sky bisons. Water, it was the moon. The moon would push and pull the waves of the water. That's how they learned. And then earthbending was the badger moles, who could move the earth. So, which I think is a very cool kind of origin. And then when we got into Korra, when you watch Korra, you kind of learn that in the first beginning days, like very beginning days of bending, it was actually the lion turtles that bestowed the bending powers upon the humans who lived on each lion turtle, and each lion turtle bestowed a different element. Yep. And they were the ones who kind of had the power of the element and gave them the element so that they could defend themselves from the spirits in the wild back before the spirit portal was closed. Yep. Or sorry, it was open and they lived together. And then Avatar 1, the first one, closed the portal. And that is when they kind of went back to learning from the animals because the lion turtles no longer gave away those powers because there was no need to defend yourself from anything. Spirits, so, I mean, I guess where I'm getting at is ultimately it was used for defense and fighting in the beginning days in both when we saw it in Korra and Avatar The Last Airbender. So that's kind of where bending started off. And then moving into Avatar, still used for fighting and defense, but I think we saw an evolution of it starting to be used for other purposes. So the one that I'm thinking about is water. So specialized bending. Yep. We'll call it specialized bending. It kind of evolved and there was more advanced like bending techniques or like subsets of the bending.
Like for water, it was like the healing and ice stuff.
Yep. And then fire is the lightning. Yep. Earth, was there one? Oh, metal, sorry.
Metals
bending.
with earth, and lava is technically earth.
And lava. Yeah.
Fire also has combustion, right?
And the combustion. Yep. That's correct, with the sparky boom man.
Yeah, with the
where it comes out of his eye.
Yeah.
And blood bending. I can't forget about that. Blood bending for the water, which is
the spooky one.
To me, one of the most terrifying ones. Like that would be so weird. Like, can you imagine getting like someone's controlling your water inside of you? Like,
I feel like it would almost kill you, right? Because I feel like in order to like freeze you,
because it would stop the blood flow. I feel like you would die. You would die in an instant because there'd be no blood flow.
I mean, to be fair, it does seem like the people who do get blood bent aren't enjoying it.
No, they get.
It does, looks like it hurts a lot.
It does. Well, it would be painful. Like if your blood flow just stopped, I feel like, it'd be
like suffocating almost.
Yeah, like from the inside, it's just crazy.
And then does air have like any specializations? There's like the flying.
I'm looking at my notes here. I don't think so. Like, I mean, I guess you could consider the flying. Yeah, they're kind of like using earth. And I mean, what did I say? Earth?
Yeah.
They're using the air. Yeah, they're kind of controlling the airwaves, and like he has the glider.
No, I mean like because
Zahir and like when he was flying. Yeah. Yes, I would consider that specialized, but that's more
besides
like
that, like
I don't think there was really any.
Like there's special techniques like the sphere thing.
Yeah, that he kind of flies around on. But yeah, I don't think there was really like a progressed form. I would call the flying a progressed form though. So I would say that is accurate. That would probably be the specialized bending of air. But like no one could do that really. Yeah, almost nobody could do that.
There's like only one guru long before
and then Zahir. So yeah, so I guess that was one. What else? You kind of saw the beginning to see a little bit of bending used for sport and entertainment also in Avatar The Last Airbender. I'm thinking of I think it was the first episode where Aang was playing that airball game. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So like they used it for entertainment and to play games. I wouldn't necessarily call it sport yet. I wouldn't say it would really progress into sport yet, but they started to use it for like games and entertainment. And then also in the Fire Nation, when they had that circus, when they were in the Fire Nation, they were kind of the circus people were using it to kind of create.
I'm trying to think. Wasn't there like a part in the Earth book where like they had one of those like street performers with like the cups or whatever was using earth bending to like hide the ball?
Yes, yeah. So using it for almost that was like gambling. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there we go, another form of entertainment, I guess. But yeah. So I just thought that was cool. So kind of we see as time goes on, they kind of learn different ways to use the elements other than just the like your basic fighting and self-defense, which was what it was intended for. But then of course you also see it used as a weapon of war. Yep. So that was the other point I wanted to, which is mainly the Fire Nation. They were the ones who kind of Ozai took and was like, oh, I could use like the power of the comet and like the comet. Yeah. I could use that as my opportunity to basically rebuild the world. And and they exterminated the airbenders because they were looking for the Avatar. Yep. So they basically took it the other way and instead of entertainment, let's use it to kill everybody.
And even like the progression in Korra to like the pro bending or
that's kind of what I was going to get at next. And then we kind of move into the next, so 100 years later. That was one of the most interesting things that I liked about Korra was the pro bending. Yeah. I thought that was so cool. And being a sports person myself, I'm like, that would have been me. I would have totally done pro bending. That would have been so cool. And like, I thought that was really
the whole really part with the wolf bats at the end of the first part where they were cheating. I was going like, what's going on here?
That made me so angry. I'm like, I hate that because it's not fair. Like to me, like sports is fun because it's like fair and like you win or you lose as a team. But when you have someone who's like taking advantage of the rules, that just like it takes the fun out of it. Yeah. Like, come on. Like
I think everybody can relate to that.
Yeah, because there's always been like that team or that person you face who is clearly cheating. You're just like, really, like this. Yeah. Come on, like grow up. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, I loved the pro bending and I loved. How they basically created the sport and like it had rules and everything and they had it broadcast over the radio and it was
I forget what
so cool.
I forget what the two brothers' names were, but the
Mako and Bolin.
No, Sue's kids, the metal benders who like had like air hockey, but it was like with a metal disc in a little arena. We only see it for like half a minute.
Wait, you're talking about Toph's daughters? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, like Sue, like her, not Lynn's daughters, her sister's sons.
Oh, she had a lot of sons.
Yeah, she had three, but the two I think they're twins, but they had like a little arena set up where they were like redirecting the metal
I remember
disc.
That.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool.
Super cool. And even like they were using the one son was using it as art. using the metal bending as a form of art
yeah.
for sculptures, which was very, very, very cool.
One of the things that surprised me the most in Korra was people using lightning bending to power a power plant. I was like, oh, so everybody can just use lightning now? What's this?
That's a good point that you bring up. Yeah, it kind of seems like, I was shocked about it too. It seems like almost everybody now can use this like a specialized bending. But then as I was thinking about it more, I was like, I don't think it's that everyone can use it, because Bolin tries to lava bend, but he can't.
Yeah.
A metal bend, but he can't. But then he finds out later that he can lava bend.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I still think like there's people who naturally can do it and can't do it. But I also think that it helps that there's been so much practice and knowledge throughout the years, and everybody's just more knowledgeable about it. And it comes more naturally because you have teachers and experienced people
who aren't like trying to keep it like a secret.
Right. Whereas Toph, she was like the founder, but like now that you had the founder and she obviously taught her daughters how to do it, like there's just more knowledge and like progression of technology where I think it's just become more common knowledge. And people can either learn it or they won't. And then if they know it, great.
Even
if they don't,
the police force, I thought that was really cool how they use like metal bending with like the
like Spider-Man.
Rope. Yeah. I was even thinking like Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah. That's probably actually more accurate. That's true. I like the whole specialized bending and how, we kind of see it progress even more, because we didn't see the lava bending in Avatar The Last Airbender. So that was kind of another add-on, which was really cool. And then we also saw another combustion bending person, and that always confused me. Like, are they just born like with this thing in their forehead and they can do it? Like, that's what I'd imagine. Like, because you can't teach that. You can't just be like, squeeze your muscles and like see if anything like
I don't even know. Is it like
pop out of your head?
Is it a tattoo, or is it like legitimately an eye?
Oh, so do you think it's maybe like the Airbenders tattoos were like,
or something like, I don't know.
Like if they figure out they can do it, like they tattoo it, and like that's kind of
like the focus point that you like do the, I don't know.
Maybe, because we don't really learn too much about combustion bending, but I always thought it was interesting. Very interesting. Ice. How could we forget ice for water? That's another.
I feel like a lot of water benders use ice, but like it seemed like, especially in Korra, a lot of them were using it. A lot more. Yeah. But still not a whole lot of healers.
But there's
only Kaya and Katara really who use the healing.
I mean, there could be like a whole section of people who do use the healing. We just didn't really see it, but
thankfully not many bloodbenders.
No.
Only one.
Yes, thankfully. Well, because I think it was banned. I think they banned bloodbending.
That's what they said, but
yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like a forbidden thing, which I don't blame them. I probably would have banned it too. Like, that's horrible.
If you can like stop an entire courtroom of people, including the Avatar, and just walk out of the room because you're bloodbending everybody, that seems not something that everybody can use.
No. Like, let's forget about bloodbending. But yeah, I'm just very, very interesting, the evolution kind of throughout the days. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else evolution-wise that we're missing from.
Technology is a huge thing.
Yeah, the technology and how they kind of are now incorporating bending into kind of society, empowering society. Like you were saying, they were shooting the lightning at those generators and kind of powering them, which that was also very interesting. So they're kind of using their knowledge of the elements to progress society forward.
Like, they have cars, they have motorcycles, they have planes, airships, and like they have giant mechs basically that aren't powered by earthbending like the tanks were at Ba Sing Se in the original series. Yeah.
So, but are all those things powered by bending per se? I think that's just an advancement in technology in general in the world.
Well, I just mean even from like how the first original series was compared to Korra, it seems like a lot happened in 100 years.
It does.
But I guess if you think about it,
but the same thing kind of happened
1800s to like
the Enlightenment, the Enlightenment pretty much happened.
Yeah, essentially.
And everything just progressed so quickly. Because that was my first thought too when I first saw it. I'm like, this much has changed in that short time. But then I'm like, wait, I guess that happened in our world years, too. Yeah, so makes sense. But so I think that's pretty good. I think we've covered like a lot of
most of the bending stuff.
Most of the bending thing and kind of how it's changed. So I think this is a good point. We can transition to our discussion question. Are you ready for it?
I think I am.
All right. And everybody, don't go away. my wrap-up question for today, and everybody remember to comment your answer. What element would you like to be able to bend, or which one do you think you would be part of? Like, what nation and what element would you bend?
I mean, I did a quiz a long time ago that was, I forget how many questions it was. I think it was like 50 questions or something. And I ended up with earth bending, which I think kind of suits me. I like earth bending.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I think if I were to choose, I'd rather do water.
Water? That's interesting. Yeah. For me, it's fire. It's always been fire.
Yeah. Lightning's pretty awesome.
Yeah, the lightning's pretty awesome. I just think my personality fits that too. Like, I find I have a lot of conflict sometimes between myself. I'm also a Gemini, two-faced person. Are you a Gemini too?
Yep.
Look at that. So you should be fire. Let's go.
You just want to both be fire.
Start the Fire Nation. Yeah, I don't know. I just always appealed to me. And I think part of it too is because Zuko was my favorite character, and I just liked the element. I think fire is really cool to be able to manipulate. Yeah. Yes, it's destructive, but I mean, it can be controlled and it's very powerful.
Yeah.
And I like having something so powerful in the palm of my hand.
And it has a lot of uses too. Like, you could literally do fire jets out of your feet and fly into the sky.
I know. So cool, right? So yeah, fire's always been mine. I didn't even take the test. I'm just like, fire.
Fair enough.
It's got to be fire. I mean, if it's not, then that test is rigged. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you like what you hear, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, be sure to check out our videos on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you check out that audio. Thank you so much for your support. We'll see you next time.